Get recording. There we go. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about my copywriting hacks and frameworks. Okay. So one of the things that I want to get you guys in a more comfortable level of being able to just talk to your audience, right? There's so many things that are out there that are meant to quote, help you write your copy, but in a way, it actually hinders you guys being able to write really good copy because you're so worried about, following a certain format, a certain, swipe file, and you're trying to make what you want to say fit into this thing. And so while today I am going to give you guys some frameworks and formulas and some templates for you to use, today the main mission of this class right here is to get you comfortable with having more conversations. If you guys have been with me for a really long time, you know that I always say the fastest path to cash is through conversations, right? And so any anxiety that you guys have about writing scripts, I want to help alleviate that today, okay? So let's back up just a little bit because I want to let you guys know where I actually got my hacks and frameworks because it actually isn't from the internet marketing space. Some of you guys might be new to this program and you might not know a lot about me. You might have just bought on the ad and think, oh, Laurel's just an internet marketer. I actually have almost 2 decades of television experience. I actually have 3 Emmy Awards for content that I have created for CBS. And the very first job that I had right out of college, it was a doozy. It was working for the 11 p.m. news. Okay. The 11 p.m., not 11 a.m., 11 p.m. And my job was as soon as the credits rolled at that primetime show, at the time that I was working, it was CSI. As soon as the credits for CSI rolled, I had to do 2 things. One, I had to get my audience's attention. And the second thing, which was even harder than the first, was getting them to sit down through a commercial break and watch the 11 p.m. news. Snooze fest, right? And so ever since my career started back in 2002, I have been honing the craft to do those 2 things, getting people's attention and keeping it. And so that's where my copywriting hacks and frameworks came from, was my job in television. Back in 2008, Facebook started becoming a thing, and my boss kept seeing, because I was also in a band. And during my lunch hour, he would see me playing on Facebook. And it was because I was doing marketing for my band. I was promoting upcoming shows and stuff like that. And he was like, Laurel, he's like, I have a proposition for you. CBS wants to get into the social media game, and you're the young and hip one. At the time, I was the young and hip one. And he said, I see you on Facebook during your lunch hour. And would you be interested in, we're not going to pay you anymore. You're not going to get a different job title. We just want to see where this Facebook thing's going to go. Would you be happy to take this over? You do such a good job writing teases on the newscast. We want to see how that's going to translate into social media. And at that point, guys, was the beginning of a love relationship with social media. I had always loved social media before, but that was the point where I really learned how to connect with people over social media. Because I guarantee you, how many of you guys have ever gone onto your local television's Facebook page? You have to really learn how to talk to people, how to calm people down, and how to get their attention. If you guys want to see what I mean, go to your local television station's Facebook page and you'll see what I'm talking about. And that was one of the most important skills that I was going to learn that was going to allow me to have success in what I'm teaching you guys right here. See, where I got my copywriting hacks and frameworks wasn't actually from the internet. It started with commercials and TV. So you guys see where I'm going with this? This is not something that, will only work online. This is something, what I'm going to be teaching you guys today is things that you can use online, but you could apply them anywhere. Okay. So I thought I would be doing a disservice if I didn't tell you guys where I got these hacks and the frameworks and kind of my little story, because it is a bit different than what everyone else is teaching out there. And now you guys probably see why I do things a little bit different, right? You'll see in the back office, I teach a lot of marketing strategy versus just here's how to place the ads. It's because I understand. Think about all of the market research I have sat through almost 2 decades. I was able to leave my job in late 2018 and I started in 2002. That was a really long time of sitting in on market research, sitting in on meetings where we had focus groups of audiences tell me what they liked about my commercial and what they didn't like. Talk about built tough skin for me. And so that, like I said, this has helped me become a better copywriter, right? A lot of you guys think I'm really good at Facebook ads or YouTube ads or whatever. I'm really good at creating good content. And that is what makes Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn ads. That's what makes advertising work. Okay. It's not about the buttons you push. It's about understanding your audience's wants, needs, and most importantly, how to have a conversation with them so that they can understand that you have exactly what they need in order to solve their problems. Okay. I kind of touched on why I'm really not a big swipe file fan. I kind of feel like sometimes it hinders people's creativity because they're trying to fit what they say into a little box. But like I said, today I am going to give you guys some of those frameworks, some templates to get you guys started, but I don't want that to keep you inside a box. Okay. I want to help spawn more creativity from what we're going to do today. Now, the last thing before we get started, I want to share my hack to write more conversational. And this applies to me writing copy for myself, but it also applies to me writing copy for my agency clients. I actually use my phone and I use Google Docs open, either one. And whenever I'm writing, instead of typing, I turn on the little microphone on Google Docs, or I speak into my phone using the audio app that comes with any phone, right? And so those are my little hacks. And so a lot of people are like, Laurel, your copy is just so conversational. It's because I'm actually talking into my phone. I'm talking into Google Docs. And so it allows me to have a conversation just like I would be talking to my ideal audience. I always tell my students that we need to talk as if we're having fun at happy hour. So think about this. Think about this, okay? What if your ideal client or customer was sitting at the bar and you went up to that person and you had the perfect solution to their problem? How would you talk to that person? Okay. And I'll give you guys an example of how sometimes we could be actually downright silly with our copy. And that's why it's not resonating with our audience. So I had a student and he is trying to build an agency for local businesses. So he wants to do ads for brick and mortar businesses. Brick and mortar businesses are very different than online businesses in the way that they talk, in the way that they act on a daily basis. Very, very different. And I was looking at his ad copy and he was talking about, are you struggling with lead generation and blah, 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 blah to get customers, like into your business and like that. And I looked at him and I said, do brick and mortar business owners even use the term lead generation? Like, I work with local business owners here in my hometown, and I have never heard any of them ever use the term lead generation. Have you guys ever heard, like, if you go to the pizza parlor and you're like, hey, how's lead generation going for you? They'd probably look at you like you're kind of crazy. And so we have to adopt our ideal audience's language, okay? And before we get into the training, here's something that I think I would be doing a disservice if I didn't talk about a little bit. I see so many people, like in the $7 program, even in my premium program, they're like, Laurel, how do I write a script for X, Y, and Z? And I always tell them you need to inject yourselves into conversation with your ideal audience. Whenever I first started into the online marketing space and I started, working with online business owners, my mentor at the time, and this is what gave me so much momentum. He gave me a challenge. He said, Laurel, I want you to have 70 20-minute conversations over the next 60 days with people in your ideal audiences, and I want you to do it over Zoom. And so as I was going live, I was pushing people to book a 20-minute free complimentary strategy session. Why did he have me do that? Was for the reason that I'm telling you guys here. If you don't understand your ideal audience's wants, needs, fears, and how to adapt their language, your ads are going to be dead in the water if we don't learn to do that. Okay. Everyone's cool with that. Let's get right into everything that I do for myself when it comes to copywriting. Okay. So right now, if you're like, oh shit, this is going to be harder than I thought, right? How many of you guys are like, oh shit, this is going to be a little bit hard, but I'm going to help you guys master this. Okay. If you guys use the AskLaurel thread inside the $7 program, you're going to get better. Okay. And you're in good hands because I have been writing copy for a really long time. Okay. But you got to do the work, right? Sometimes doing the work is hard. Don't just go into the AskLaurel thread and say, hey, Laurel, how would you write copy for XYZ? I want you to do the work. Okay. So if you haven't talked to your ideal audience, if you don't know that they want your offer, if you don't know how they talk, if you don't know their need, I'm going to give you the same challenge that my mentor gave to me 2.5 years ago, is to get on the phone, with as many people as possible and just have a conversation, adopt their language, listen to what their needs are, how you could actually help them, right? Because the way that you're telling people that you can help them might not be the way that they think is a way that you could help them. So if you want to, this is one of the best brainstorming exercises right here. This is something I teach my private premium clients too, is a great place to start is, what is your audience doing as they're seeing this ad right now? Okay. So my audience, as they're looking at my ads, they're doing a couple of different things. One of the things that they're doing is they're trying to find a YouTube video that has the strategy that they need. You guys are my ideal audience. How many of you guys searched YouTube for the strategy that you need? Most of my clients, they try to find the strategy that they need on YouTube, right? But that's like trying to find, a needle in a haystack. There's so many different strategies. How do you know which one's for you, right? Another thing that they're doing is they're watching one of my live videos and trying to follow my cheat sheet. How many of you guys watched a live video, grabbed one of my cheat sheets, tried to follow it, and then got stuck? Another thing that they're doing is they're aimlessly scrolling through cat photos because they're frustrated with their business. How many of you guys just are like, fuck it, I'm just going to scroll and look at funny things because business is hard today. I don't want to do business today. They're stalking their competitors' Instagram, wishing their business was as easy as theirs. You see how I'm just literally brain dumping here on a Google Doc. I do this every single week. Like, what is my audience doing right now as they're seeing this ad? Look about this. Thinking, not another ad from Laurel. How the heck is she stalking me? How many of you guys have ever thought that? I'm sure a lot of you guys, right? And then I turned it into an ad. Hey, I'm stalking you. I see you're checking out my $7 program. Don't you want to learn how to do this? Click the link below. You see where I'm getting some of my great ad ideas? It's just from putting myself in your place. Like, what are you doing as you are seeing this ad right now? Okay. Now, this works for e-com and brick and mortar too. Like I said, I have brick and mortar clients that I work with here in a small podunk town, which is about 1,500 people. It works for e-com too. My wife and I had an e-com store for women bicyclists. As a matter of fact, we still do. A lot of people don't know that. But here's the thing. When we created this brand, it was right at the same time that I started going live and building my business. My wife had a business, I had a business, and we were working on them together. But here's the thing. We didn't just create something to sell t-shirts, right? Like a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to have a t-shirt shop. We saw a need, and let me make sure that this is still recording. Yep, this is still recording. Okay. We saw a need for women bicycle shirts. And so we started an e-com brand, right? We didn't just guess what would people want, right? We were like, there is a need for this. And so we decided that we were going to go with it. Okay. So I'm going to show you how all of this pertains to the same thing. Like a lot of people are like, well, Laurel, I own a brick and mortar business. I own an e-com business. Like how do I adopt your frameworks and put them into my business? I'm like, an e-com product solves a problem just like any coach would, just like any brick and mortar business would, right? Like, think about it. Like one of the pizza places that I worked with, when we were writing like their power content and stuff like that, yes, power content works for brick and mortar businesses. It works for e-com, however, right? Because you still have to talk to your audience in a conversational way that is going to say, hey, we understand your problem and here's how we're going to help do that. Okay. So most people, right? Like I'll give you guys an e-com example. So most people would look at this, right? Like this weird looking thing. And they're like, I'm going to make money by selling these e-com products, right? How many of you guys know someone who started a drop ship store? Probably almost everyone in here knows someone who was like, oh, I'm going to start a drop ship store. It's hot, blah, 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 blah. And I saw so many people like trying to sell like little things like this, right? So if you don't know what this is just like a head massager like that you use like in the shower or whatever, right? And so a lot of people would try to sell this and be like, hair massager, cool little gadget that you use in the shower, blah, 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 like $5, right? A lot of people are probably like, I wouldn't pay $5 for that, right? But that's the way that so many people try to market their e-com products. They're just like, hair massager, great thing to use in the shower, comes in many fun colors, only $5, last 20 on the shelf or something like that. I see so many e-commerce like writing ads like that. If you adopt my framework, right? What problem does this actually solve? And writing copy that's going to talk specifically to that audience. I know that this product solves a bigger problem that most people who are selling this probably totally ignore, that it works wonders for people who have scalp psoriasis. Now, people with scalp psoriasis usually take prescription medication. They use special shampoos. But what if regularly using something like this would solve their psoriasis issues? All of a sudden, this little thing becomes a lot more valuable to a certain group of people. Then you can write ad copy that talks directly about psoriasis. Now, of course, like if you're e-com or even if you're a coach, we have to be careful about using the word you. And so when we're speaking to our ideal audience about these types of things or their coaching struggles and all of this stuff, I always tell people, write in first or third person. When I used to have scalp psoriasis, I tried all of the medications out there. I tried all of the medical shampoos. Nothing worked until a little 1995 gadget came across my ad, my newsfeed, right? You see what I did there? I was writing in first person. If you want to write third person, this 1995 gadget is, helping alleviate people with scalp psoriasis all over the country. Here's how it works. Blah, 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 right? So I'm trying to give you guys some more, just some more ideas of how these frameworks work. And we're going to get into more things here in a minute, but I just want to show you guys that it works for brick and mortar businesses. Like, for instance, like I was working with a pizza shop and they had some really cool things, but when I looked at their marketing, I was like, what why would you not market this one thing? They were saying things like, oh, we've got happy hour, you know, we've got 2-for-1 specials. And I sat down with the owner and I was like, you're in the middle of like downtown Phoenix among like so many other pizza places. Like, what makes you so special? And then he actually took me back into the kitchen and we found out that, so it was called New York Pizza Company or something like that. And he took me back in the kitchen. He's like, Laurel, I'm going to show you something that's really cool, is we actually fly down our water from New York. So it actually the dough actually tastes like New York dough. And I said, that's our marketing. And then he took me around the building and he was like, oh yeah, and we also have our own parking lot. I was like, what? I said, every other pizza place in downtown, you have to like pay at the meter and blah, blah, blah. So those were two things just by me talking to the owner, figuring out what are things that we can do that are going to solve people's problems, right? So it works. It doesn't just work for the online coaching space. Like, we can find unique things. Like another brick and mortar example, I was working with a guy named Carlos in Phoenix again, and he had a mattress store in Little Old Apache Junction, which is outside of Phoenix. Lots of competition, lots and lots of competition. And I walked into his store and it was this one little closet. And he told me the story of how he used to work for Mattress Firm and he had worked his way up into the ranks, and he ended up quitting that so that he could spend more time with his family. And that's why he opened up his own store. And I was like, that's really cool. Tell me more. And then he brought me back and I saw his truck sitting outside. It was branded with his Cloud9 mattress brand. And I said, that's really cool. So like you're doing your own advertising and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, but he's like, one of the things that I can do that I couldn't do at Mattress Firm is as soon as someone buys this, I could actually check them out, throw their mattress in back of my truck and follow them home and get their mattress in their house. And I was like, holy crap, that's awesome. But you guys see what I'm doing here is I am figuring out like what type of solutions can my clients offer that makes the customer's journey more convenient. So it doesn't matter whether you're an online business owner, whether you're a brick and mortar business owner, whether you're an e-com product, there's always ways that we can connect with our audience, and not only an audience, but our ideal audience. What problem are we solving with what we're selling? And if we can't answer that in a very clear way, we need to do more research. Ginger has a really good question. Why again don't we use the word you? You can use the word you. That's a common misconception. You can use the word you, but what Facebook doesn't want you to use the word you is when it is in a negative way. And I have that in my compliance training. But so for instance, right? Like if I'm trying to market this, I wouldn't go write copy that says, are you suffering from psoriasis? Facebook won't want that. Are you suffering from depression? Are you suffering from this, right? Facebook, or do you want to date or something like that? Like Facebook doesn't want any of the ad copy that we write to affect a person negatively in any sort of way. And so anytime that we're promoting products that are medical, that are like depression and all of that stuff, we always write in first or third person. Okay. Like for instance, one of my private clients, she owns a boudoir photography studio and she talks a lot about confidence issues and stuff in women. We never use the word you. We always talk I or third person. That was a really, really good question. So another thing, this is something that has changed in the algorithm over the last several months. How many of you guys have had ads that were running and then all of a sudden they just stopped working? That happened to me. I had a couple of ads that I was able to run for like a year. Here's the thing. Over the last several months, Facebook has been redoing their algorithm. And this is, I heard directly from my Facebook rep. So I had a feeling that's what was going on, but just like Facebook wants your business page to be actively posting and post engaging content. Did you guys know that the quality of the engagement that happens on your business page actually has an effect on your CPMs when it comes to ads? Facebook looks at the entire business assets and says, is this ad being ran from a business page that is stagnant and not engaging and not doing this? Well, Facebook now has taken that one step further. Facebook wants new content, because if we're showing the same ad on and on to the same people, they're going to get off the platform. Facebook doesn't want that. Facebook wants people to stay on the platform. So if you have had ads that have been working for a while and all of a sudden aren't working, we need to start putting in new ad angles every single week. So I'm going to make that much easier for you guys today. Okay. This is a simple exercise. So once we have an ad angle, right? Like Sean said, yes, I had ads that were working for a really long time. And then they stopped working. So here's the solution to your problem, Sean, is we have to be writing and testing 4 to 5 new ad angles every week. But here's the thing. If we have an ad angle that's working really well, like in Sean's case, we also need to be testing variations on that same ad. I'll give you guys a couple of examples, okay? So an ad angle, how many of you guys saw one of my ads that says this ad is only costing me $2 a day, and on average, it brings in 3 to 4 sales a week? That's an ad angle, right? This ad is only costing me $2. That's the angle. As soon as I saw that angle was converting sales for like $1, $2, I was like, okay, I need to start cranking out some ad variations. So what I did was, that first ad was a video ad. So the first variation on that I did was, I was like, I'm going to turn this video ad into a static image ad. That was it. I didn't have to change anything else. I just turned it into another ad variation, right? Same ad angle, just a different variation of it, right? That's the difference between ad angles versus variations, okay? So I'll show you guys an example of if we were doing this for ecom, right? So when my wife and I were doing this, our main hook that we like to use was, we made this t-shirt specifically for women cyclists. And so we would crank out different variations of that, right? We told the story that we were tired of all the cool bicycle shirts only being in men's sizes. Another one, men don't even try to wear our shirts and then put a t-shirt on a guy and it looks silly, right? Put a t-shirt, like a women's cut t-shirt on a guy. They look silly because it's real short and it's real tight up here. But you see how, like, even with ecom, like the same thing can be applied. Like, people think, oh, well, I have a digital business, I have an ecom business, I have a brick and mortar business. All of this is just advertising. And we have to learn, because at the end of the day, what have I taught you guys today? At the end of the day, we're just learning how to adapt our ideal audience's language and be able to convey to them how our product, our services can solve their problem. That's all we're doing. That's all ads are, okay? So I'm going to give you guys some of my favorite scripts. Let's see if I'm not even going to go there. If the sounds, is everything okay? I'm tethered to my phone. I'm pretty sure the internet is kind of shitty on my phone, but is it okay? Okay, you can hear and see. Okay, cool. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for being really good question. Are we still running an original ad and just adding variations? Yes. Okay. So, and we're going to get into that as we keep going. But one of the things that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to set aside budget just to test. We don't want to wait until our ad stops working in order to get more ad angles or variations up, right? And now remember, not every ad angle is going to be a winner. 9 out of the 10 ad angles that I launch are like, right? So it takes a lot. Like, I will launch, like right now, I have probably about a dozen ads that are doing really well, but that was probably 60 or 70 ads that I launched that weren't doing so well, right? That I had to cut. But it's because I've gotten into the habit of, every single day, whenever I feel like I'm going to write something, I get out my phone And a lot of times I'll just shoot the video like selfie style, and I'll just say what I have to say. I'll also put it into the Google Doc and turn the microphone on and let my phone talk to Google Doc, and it'll write a static image ad part of it. But I literally now I've gotten to the point where talking to you guys is just fun and conversational, and I just have fun with it. I don't overthink it. Right? Ginger says, I love your down to earth ads. It's how I got here. Now, you know, Ginger, my secrets and my hacks to me writing copy is just having a conversation with you guys. Right? And it took me a while to get here. Right? Like a lot of times people are like, why do you spend so much time with your $7 members? It's because I'm adopting your language. I'm seeing the issues that you're having. Right? Like I know, like I'm looking at Jeanette's picture right here. Like Jeanette shows up to a lot of these calls. She participates in the Ask Laurel stuff. And when Jeanette asks a question, I've adopted her language and I understand her issue. And so I'm able to help her better. That's why I spend so much time with you guys. Like people are like, for $7 a month, I can't, but it's super important. If I didn't learn to talk to you guys, no one would be in my premium program right now. No one would be in my agency right now. And so we have to do these things in order to, I'm going to keep saying it, adopt our audience's language and learn how we can help them actually solve their problems, not just solve problems that we think that they have. Okay. Now, I left you guys with some of my favorite scripts to use. I'm going to let you guys take a look at them. Here's one thing that I recommend, and this is going to be a little pitch. I think it's $27, but this thing right here, this Power Offer Masterclass by Joel Urway, super, super powerful. And you guys will see once you start looking at my Power Offer ad, my self-identifying Power Offer, you'll start to see that I got the from Joel Urway. So I just thought that would be a great time to like say, hey, if you haven't done Joel Urway's Power Offer Masterclass, super, super powerful. But I want you guys to use these scripts, but use them utilizing what you've learned today. Okay. If you just take the script and you're going to try to make your conversation fit into something that I've already wrote, it's not going to work. Okay. So use these scripts in a way that will allow you to have a conversation with your audience, adopt their language, and speak to them in a way that they're going to understand that you are the one that can solve their problem. And yes, I am going to pop the script underneath the video in the replay. I will actually pop it in right now for you guys who are here on chat, so that you guys can get started on your homework, because you know where this is going. I'm going to copy that for you guys. I'm also going to post it underneath the video. But so here's the homework. Okay. I don't want you to do all of those scripts. You pick two scripts to do. One of them though, I want you to do a video version. So that's going to give you a total of 3 ads. Okay. So I want you to pick 2 scripts. One of them being a video version of the script that you're going to write. Do you guys want, like, my favorite? These are my favorite. Is basically just like power content, except it has a call to action. It's much shorter. So it's about a 90-second power content video with a call to action. You guys, those are the ads that you probably see the most from me, are my short video value ads that say, hey, you want to learn more things like this? You know, click the link below. So what I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to allow you to speak. No, that sounds funny, right? I'm going to allow you to speak. No, I am going to, let's see if I can unmute everyone. And then we'll just jam kind of like what we did yesterday. And I'll take a couple of questions. Let me see. There's the chat. Awesome. Who has a question? You could just unmute yourself. We can jam. Yeah, you're very welcome, of course. No one has any questions? You guys are just ready to go rock and roll?
Hey, Laurel, it's Tamika.
Hey, Tamika, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm super frustrated with the whole electricity thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, on top of construction, I got electricity issues.
I know it happens to me too when I'm going live, unfortunately. Hey, look, first of all, I just wanted to say that I'm getting so much value from this. This is absolutely amazing.
Oh,
So,
thank
you
you.
can probably hear the tiredness in my voice because I was up until like 3:30 in the morning, like just going through the portal because there's so much in there. So I love you for that. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you so much. That makes me feel good because sometimes, like, I don't know, sometimes we need to hear stuff like that. So I appreciate you.
Absolutely. I have a question actually about the calculator.
Okay.
So my question is, what percentage of the total of your total ad spend budget do you recommend that we spend on lead generation versus um not lead generation, but on lead generation versus retargeting?
So I would say don't spend any money on retargeting until
Mhm.
you've met mission number 1. Our first mission is to get those 500 landing page views or the 500 leads. So we don't want to worry about retargeting until we've accomplished mission number 1. So all of our budget needs to go to mission number 1.
Okay, got it. And then once we've done that, what would be your recommendation?
Say that one more time.
Once we've done that, once we've had the 500 visits, what
Mhm.
would be your recommendation after
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. So inside the program, you're going to see under, I think it's retargeting. It's called the ATM strategy.
Mhm.
I recommend that. And
Okay,
those are going to only be $2 a day.
okay, got it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Absolutely. Guys, all of the documents are underneath the replays. So I see a couple of questions going on. And I froze during the homework. Sorry about that. So what I want you guys to do is pick 2 scripts from the sheet that I just gave you guys, okay? 2 scripts, but you're going to have 3 ads because I want you to do a video version of one of those 2 scripts too. So that's going to give you a total of 3 ads that we're going to place this week, okay? Everyone cool on that? Tamika, very good question, by the way. Very good question. Anyone else have a question?
Good morning. This is Teddy. Can you hear me?
Hey, Teddy, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Excuse me, my I don't have a camera on this particular computer, so that's why my video isn't up. I just want to thank you for all the value that you bring to this experience. Social media marketing is something totally new to me, so all that you packed in a $7 program is just fantastic. I want to thank you for that.
Aw, thank you.
Yeah, one of the questions I had is, as you're kind of like organizing your content, like how many days do you think ahead? Are you planning for 1 week? Are you planning for 30 days? That's one of the things I'm starting to do now. I'm going to be launching my new book on November 15th. And I just want to kind of get an idea of like how many days do you plan ahead?
As far as like my ads?
Yes, your ads. Like, because of course some of them are, images, right? So sometimes you might do like images instead of video.
Mhm.
Do you plan that separately or you kind of just do it on the fly?
So I do it a week in advance, right? Because a lot of the content I get actually, the Ask Laurel thread, a lot of my ideas for ads actually come from the questions that you guys ask me in Ask Laurel.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one thing that we have to learn how to do is like, and I think that comes with practice. Like what I'm trying to push you guys to do is so that like, Teddy, what do you do? Like what offer do you have?
I'm a publisher. I have my low ticket item is a $29 book. Kind of the mid offer is a $197 class, which is basically teaching on the same topic. And the high ticket offer is consulting that goes along with the topic. I teach
Yeah.
on subjects like anti-racism, social emotional learning. So those are my 3 items that I offer.
Perfect example. That like what you do is a perfect example. So I want you to be confident so that when stuff happens, like with the you know, the whole racial thing and everything, like I want you to be able to immediately grab your phone and be able to shoot an ad that's going to portray like what, you know, your ideal audience could be going through, and how the recent events are tying into how you can solve a problem, right? So that's what I'm trying to get you guys to do. So like if something happens, like even with me, right? Like the Facebook algorithm is changing all the freaking time. Facebook's announcing all these things. I have to be comfortable enough to shoot an ad right then and there, right? To like get it's almost like, you know, like what I learned to do, like when there's breaking news, right? I could have written the most perfect scripts that are going to go into the newscast, but if breaking news happens within 20 minutes, I have to have written, shot, and edited a promo to go on the air. You get what I'm saying?
Wow, you just gave me a golden nugget.
and so that's the way that I work with like my ads and my students and stuff. It's like we have to be ready for quote breaking news.
Gotcha. Thanks a lot for that.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Very good question. Yeah. I'll take one more question. Who's got the last question? Jeanette gonna finish us off. Jeanette, I mentioned you. See what happens when you come to calls all the time?
I was surprised, yes. Good, that means I'm asking good questions, at least.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So my question is, can these ads be slide videos instead of talking? Because I just feel like I'm not very good on camera talking, and my ads aren't doing that well. I've run 5 ads now, and most people drop off after I say who I am and what the ad is about, like 8 seconds. So
yeah, so if people are dropping off like after you're introducing yourself, then your promise of value isn't strong enough. Right? Because our promise of value, kind of like if we think back to my promise of value, had to hold people through the boring commercials, right? And get them to the more boring newscast, right? And so if they're not getting through our intro of who we are and how and what our credentials are, then our promise of value isn't strong enough. So we need to perfect that promise of value. And I don't like slides, but I think if you say, you know, here's the headline, here's the promise of value, and you introduce yourself and then go to a slide to show them something cool, I think that's fine. I do that a lot, right? Whenever I introduce myself and then I show you guys behind in my ads manager or whatever. I just feel like that presence has to, that's how people connect with us. There's going to be people who connect with you and a different type of person that's going to connect with Ginger. There's going to be a different, you know, person that's going to connect with Tamika than Maya, right? Like like a couple of you guys said it here. You guys are sitting here because you felt a connection with me and my down to earthness. I don't even know if that's a word, but right. But like you guys saw something in me. If you guys just saw me behind slides or like saw static image ads, you guys probably wouldn't have connected with me as much as you guys have like right now. I think, and it'll come with practice, Jeanette. Like it just takes practice. And again, being able to be confident that we are adopting our audience's language, being confident that we are solving the right problem for them. And it might take, you know, like my mentor made me do 70 calls over a 60-day period, 20-minute calls, not long, you know, drawn out things, but just, you know, quick, you know, little audits. Like I was just like looking at people's ads managers just to kind of see like what they were doing. And most of all, what I was doing is I was listening to how they were talking to me. Like, how were they describing the problems that they were having, right? Like the way that I talk about ads manager is very different than the way that I hear you guys talk about ads manager. And so I'm always conscious of that, you know, whenever I'm talking to you guys, of not speaking language that you guys haven't adopted yet. Guna says, when I do video, I look like I'm being tortured, just not comfortable whatsoever. You're going to get comfortable. Yep. You guys are going to get comfortable. So again, homework, 2 scripts, 2 of the scripts from the list. One of them has to be a video. If you want simple, if you guys want to keep it simple, here's what I recommend for those of you guys who want to keep it super simple. I would do the power nugget. That's going to be a video. A power nugget is a video ad. There's no static image version of it. The 2 that are like the most friendly, power nugget and elevator pitch. Those are very, very simple. The other ones are a little bit more in depth. I want you guys to at least try all of them at some point over the next 2 months, but let's start with simple. Like, which one of those scripts, the 2 scripts, which of the 2 scripts resonate the most with you, and how you can have that conversation with your audience, and just go there. Don't overcomplicate it. Okay. But if you want to go for super easy, I say power content and power nugget and elevator pitch are probably the 2 simplest of the script formats. And if you guys have any questions at all about what we talked about, post them in the AskLaurel thread, and I'll make sure that if it pertains to this class, I'll make sure that you guys are taken care of. Tamika says, how do you feel about using a video snippet from a past training? Here's what I think that you could do that, Tamika, in a warm situation, right? I think you could do that in a warm audience situation, but in a cold audience situation, I really want it to be to where you're talking to, like you're doing the headline promise, like you're really being focused on talking specifically, because when you cut pieces of training, it just sometimes comes off as weird. I think I could do that like in my warm, because you guys will see that I'll chop up some of my training and put the banners on them, right, with the captions and stuff. I think, but those are all going to you guys as warm. Like all of those are warm. All of my cold ads are very, very specifically talking to my cold audience who've never heard of me before. Jeanette says, so 2 of these homework ads are static. Yes. So you want to pick 2 scripts, and then out of those 2 scripts, do a video version of it. So most of you guys will have 2 static image ads and then 1 video. But if you decide that you want to do the power nugget, like do the simple thing, you'll have 1 static image ad of the elevator pitch, a video version of the elevator pitch, and then a video power nugget. If you want to go easy, that's what I would do. I think those are the simplest to do. But like I said, just have fun with it, and don't get lost in the transcripts, right? Like don't get lost that you're trying to fit this script into a box. However it feels natural. Yep. Debbie has a really good question. I'm going to end on this because I think this is a good question to end on. Debbie says, I'm a complete newbie and never ran an ad. Is this challenge a good place for me to start? I'm developing a 37 workshop and is a small membership. We also have. If you haven't created your product before, this probably is not the place, because we're going to actually place an ad. So have you launched it yet or no?
I have a membership that I only launched by going live on Facebook, and I have 12 people, but I need to grow. I haven't did it the right way with email sequence or anything like that. So now I want to get serious about it and do things right.
Yeah. So here's how I would do that. I would do these exercises so that when you're ready to launch, you already have them.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. You're very welcome.
This is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So I am going to give you guys the replay. I'm going to put the homework sheets down. The homework sheet is in the chat. So I'll give you guys a minute or 2 to grab that from the chat. If you haven't grabbed it, if you want to get a head start. But for those of you guys who haven't, I'm going to put it underneath the replay. Now inside the section of the program. So I'm doing this as a training that's going to replace the low ticket offer strategy that's there. So go to the low ticket ad strategy section. That's where all of these replays are going to be. Okay. So you guys have a good day, and I'm going to see you guys tomorrow. Get to work, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm super excited. Super excited. I'll see you guys tomorrow.